Good day, gentlemen and gentle ladies. Welcome back to some more songs and stories of the American Revolution. On the evening of June 15, 1775, about 800 American troops from Massachusetts and 200 from Connecticut, under the command of Colonel William Prescott, were sent out of Boston to fortify and occupy two high hills, Bunker and Breed's Hill, near the north shore of Boston. And when they got to the top of Breed's Hill, when they got to the top of Bunker Hill, I should say, one man looked over to Breed's Hill and he said, "That would be a much more easily defended spot. We should move over to Breed's Hill." And the other fellows said, "We can't move over to Breed's Hill. We have to stay on Bunker Hill." And he said, "Why is that?" And they said, "Well, because someday they're going to call this the Battle of Bunker Hill." And folks, that is the real reason why the Battle of Bunker Hill was fought on Breed's Hill. Or I made it up, one or the other. But to be serious, at daybreak, they were discovered by the British, who began to fire at them from the men-of-war ships in Boston Harbor and from nearby cannons. And British General Gage sent a force of over 2,000 men under the command of Major William Howe, with orders to attack the Americans and drive them from the hill. The Patriots were outnumbered by more than 2-1. They were in a tight spot, and they knew it. There was no way that behind the dirt wall of that fort they could be resupplied with ammunition once the battle began. They could not waste their limited gunpowder and bullets by shooting wildly at the British troops. So the Americans were ordered, "Don't fire until you see," that's it, "the whites of their eyes." So you were there, were you? Very good. So the British marched up the hill. Closer and closer they came. The Americans held the fire. The British were peppering the defenders with shot and shell. Here's a picture of the British marching up the hill. There we are. The Americans waited and waited and waited. And when they were almost too close for anyone's comfort, the order was given, "Fire!" And the American guns opened up, and the leading ranks of the Redcoats fell. Caught by surprise, the Redcoats retreated back down the hill. But they regrouped, reformed the ranks, and marched up a second time. Again, the Americans held the fire until it was very, very close. And the order was given, "Fire!" And the American guns opened up. And again, the leading ranks of the British fell. And so they retreated down the hill a second time. But they regrouped and marched up the hill a third time. And by this time, the Americans were almost out of ammunition. The Patriots were forced to give up their position and run for their lives. So in a way, the British had won the day. But had they really? Both sides had paid a high price. But the British, in capturing the hill, had lost almost half their men. They were so stunned by their losses and by the fierce fighting of the young American army that they never took full advantage of their victory. They failed to fortify the area, and by March 1776, George Washington, who was by then in charge of the American army, drove the British out of Boston. And we always tip our hats when we speak of our Excellency, General Washington, because without him, the revolution would not have been won. Now, from the Americans' point of view, it was all just a bit of target practice, if you ask them. And this is called the Ballad of Bunker Hill. The soldiers from town to the foot of the hill, in barges and rowboats, some great and some small, they pattered and twaddled until we feared there would be no attack after all. Let the foeman draw nigh till the white of his eye comes in range of your rifles, and then let it fly, and show to Columbia, to Britain and fame, how justice smiles awful when free men take aim. But powder and had to go home. And come on back later for some more songs and stories of the American Revolution.